This is a picture of I-95. And the word that it makes me think of is desolate. Desolate. It's dry. It's lonely. And even though there are hills far away, you're in this empty valley. And part of my talk is going to be this drive that I took through this desolate stretch of road. So I wanted to share a few stories. One is the story of the desolation, and then the other story is a story about spiritual help. And I guess both stories are about spiritual help. The first one is a little bit more intense. During the week, someone sent me, Donna Musselman sent me a talk where Michael Beckwith was being interviewed by Panache Desai. And he told the story of going to Costa Rica a few years ago with his daughter, where he loved to swim in the ocean. But this time he drifted out too far, so far that he realized he could barely see his daughter on the shore. He was caught in a riptide, and he was struggling to get back to shore. And he knew that with experience with riptides that you can't just swim back to the shore. You have to kind of swim sideways to get around it, not directly back. And Michael Beckwith realized that he was getting tired. He went under the water completely a few times and gulped water, and got scared. He scanned his mind to see if he had a dream of dying, because he thought that that would be prophesied. His death would be prophesied in one of his dreams. But he realized he hadn't had any dreams of dying, so this was not to be his last day. But nonetheless, he thought to himself, if I don't make it back, there are going to be lots of people who are going to be disappointed in me. So he kept swimming, but he was so tired. His arms were so tired. But he decided that no matter what, no matter how tired the body got, he was going to keep going. And soon he realized he was in need of help. So he spontaneously, his body just spontaneously said, help. And then he said in his mind, I'm available for help. I need some help here. I'm available for help. And once again, he decided no matter how tired the body gets, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep on swimming. I'm going to keep on paddling. Keep going. I'm available for help. I'm available for help. And he was getting even more tired. And somehow he knew that the solution was not going to be in his logical mind. So he kept the mantra going. I'm available for help. Keep going. No matter how tired the body gets, keep going. Then a few moments later, a wave swept through and gave him some momentum. And then shortly afterwards, another wave swept through and gave him some momentum towards shore. And a third wave. And after what seemed like an eternity, he finally felt the sand underneath his feet. And he made it back. He made it to the beach. He walked to the beach and he just laid on his back, panting, gasping for air, just so happy that he survived this moment. He overcame. Not long after this trip to Costa Rica, he met with a spiritual medium, and the medium told him that what happened was an archangel responded to him and helped him by presenting these three waves. For those of you who know about angels and archangels, they can't intervene unless you ask for help. But once you ask for help, you're now open to the guidance or to the insight or to the help, however it may come. This asking reminds me of Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount when he told his disciples, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find it. Knock and the door shall be open unto you. This is the power that's available to us simply by asking. So help is all around us. This reminds me of another story where there was some asking involved, and it was a story where I needed some help, and it wasn't a life or death situation, but it very much called to mind this feeling of calling for help. In 2012, I drove to Boise, Idaho to buy a thing called a hung drum. It's a very rare drum that's only available in the gray market. And it's a 10 and a half hour drive if you don't stop. Okay. And once you pass Reno, there is no stopping. And the drive takes you across California, up through the nothingness of Nevada until you hit I-95, which is what I showed you the picture of. And some say that that's either the most desolate drive or the scariest or the loneliest. And I looked up, I use this word desolate without, I think I know what it means, but I looked that up to make sure I had the definition right. And whenever I do this, it reminds me of Don, who enjoys, looking up new words and the meanings of words. But this, I didn't know that desolate had this definition. It says, desolate, deserted of people, and in a state of bleak and dismal emptiness. Wow. Deserted of people and in a state of bleak and dismal emptiness. And that's what it was. It was, like the movie, There's No One to Hear You Scream. You're literally passing by ghost towns. And when the ghost towns fade away, there's this emptiness that opens up, which is the picture, and the sun is beating down on you. And you realize there's nothing here. Where are the cars? Where are the people? Where are the houses? And then as night fell, I realized that there were, the cars, which every once in a while I could see, no more. There were no more cars coming this direction, no more cars behind me or ahead of me, because the next major city was, hours and hours away in Boise, Idaho. And I realized that no one would be foolish enough to drive this way because it's now nighttime and they would have this an even lonelier drive through the night in the middle of nowhere. And so I passed through Paradise Valley, what an oxymoron, into Oregon, into passing through Jordan Valley, Oregon, population 175, but I couldn't see any houses. I couldn't see any cars. I couldn't see any businesses open. Past the last gas station and kept on going. And I started to get worried. And that's when it happened. In the dark, my cell phone signal went out. So my navigation stopped. And I remember thinking, I did not plan for this. I did not plan for there to be no navigation. I just planned to do what I always do. And I realized the last gas station was back that way. No houses. And even if there were a house, it might have been a shack that I don't know if I would have gone up to it. No pay phones, right? Nothing like that. I had a bottle of water, no blanket, no food, a dead iPhone. And I was really nervous because I've never been in the middle of nowhere, unable to call anyone. No rest stops, no stores, no people. And even though it doesn't seem maybe like such a big deal, it really was to me in that moment during this 10 and a half hour drive, feeling that something could go wrong and there'd be no one to help me. But like Michael Beckwith, I just said to myself, I got to keep on driving. And I did pray for help. I prayed, and I prayed like never before because I was scared. And after a while, I saw a sign that said Boise, and I kept following. And every once in a while, there would be that sign. So eventually, my navigation system, my phone kicked back in, and at 2 a.m., I made it into Boise. I guess the lesson is if I ever do that again, start in the early morning so you get in Boise at a reasonable hour, not at 2 in the morning where there's no one to help you. And in a way, even though my GPS didn't work for a while, my navigation system, it reminded me of there's this greater GPS, there's this spiritual guidance system that's always going. And that when you're lost and afraid, you can lean on this system. So the navigation systems in cars and on phones rely on GPS, the global positioning system. And I had to make sure to get this right because I know Austin will know exactly how these things work. But roughly how these satellites work is they don't provide you with directions. These satellites are just up there and they essentially say, I'm present. And they have a clock on board that says, here's what time it is. But I'm present, right? And the rest is what we do with it. We build navigation systems around it. And it reminded me, doesn't God do the same thing? God reminds you, I'm here. I'm here. I'm present everywhere. And the job of prayer is not to bring God closer to you, but bring yourself closer to the awareness of the God that is everywhere, always, and that has never left you. And when you build your life around this presence, miracles happen as the normal course of things, right? So think about God's guidance. How do we call upon this spiritual guidance system? I believe first that we ask, like Michael Beckwith did. We ask because asking is a prayer. Right now, I'm taking this class from Unity Worldwide called Unity Prayer. And the teacher said, what is prayer? And even though that might have a simple answer, there were so many answers, but one of the answers that people agreed to was it is aligning ourselves with God. So like the GPS system, we're aligning ourselves with God, not the God that's out there, right? We're aligning ourselves in our new thought beliefs and what we believe in this unity movement of the God that is the Christ consciousness within us, that is our highest selves, that is our highest destiny, that is our highest power. And as Savannah Noel Riker said last week, the God whose center is everywhere, it's right where you are, and whose circumference, meaning the outer edges, is nowhere, because God is fully everywhere. And so in all of this talk about being lost and navigating, it reminded me of what Myrtle Fillmore said in How to Let God Help You, that you are not lost. If you think you're lost, you are not lost. Help comes to all those who ask for it. And this seeming process of getting lost may be a necessary part of your finding yourself as never before. So besides prayer, another way of tapping into this guidance system to me is surrender. Not surrender in the sense of giving up, but surrendering in its highest form, which I believe is trust. Surrendering in its highest form is trust, because it's not based on nothing, it's based on something. It's based on God. You know, there have been times that I've been scared, and haven't you experienced dark nights of the soul? And in those moments, for me, what didn't work was praying for strength, because I just don't get that. I just don't get that feeling like I'm going to be strong and that's going to help me. For me, what helps is the strength that comes out of surrendering and trusting that God's got me. So in a way, it's the opposite of my human strength, right? It's my divine strength that comes out of surrendering. So what am I surrendering then? I'm surrendering my own control. And it reminds me of the song that Michael Beckwith's wife at the time, Ricky Byers Beckwith, wrote. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. It's this letting go of me being the controller, the ego and the small self and the human self being the controller. But you see, the catch is you can't surrender into nothingness, nothingness. You can't surrender into desolation and emptiness. You surrender into knowing that you're falling into the arms of God, right? The God that says, I'm here. I'm here. I've got you. I've got you. And so it's this strength through weakness in a way. It's this strength through surrender. It's interesting how that works. So I will close with an affirmation about surrender that comes from Michael Beckwith from his book Spiritual Liberation, and it says this: I surrender to the alchemy of the dark night of the soul. I give my consent to its transforming touch, and I am patient in the midst of my discomfort. I am open, receptive, and resist not. Even now, I sense the soul activity taking place within me, and I am grateful for it. So I'm going to say that again in a moment, and you'll repeat it with me. But I wanted to focus on this first line. I surrender to the alchemy of the dark night of the soul. And it means that that dark night of the soul is doing something. It's there for our spiritual transformation. And if you look up alchemy, you can look up words like chemicalization that's popular in the New Thought movement. And it says the same thing, basically, that there is a transformation spiritually on the spiritual plane, which is creating a transformation on the physical plane through events or circumstances, or even within the physical body. Some people get sick, or they might get well, have physical changes due to this alchemy, this chemicalization. And I believe this process was there, this dark night of the soul, creating change, was there for many of the great saints and sages. The ancient ones used to send apprentice shamans into dangerous situations, or they would stick them in a hole and cover it up in the darkness and leave them there with no food or water overnight. And they were scared and lost, and it forced them to find their higher power. It forced them to find that power. And that's one of the initiations of shamans, which are basically the wise elders and the healers before the American Medical Association kicked in. Jesus wandered in the desert to overcome temptation, and he became filled with the power of the Holy Spirit. The Buddha wandered for 6 years through asceticism, right? And through just giving up any hope of anything. He was seemingly lost for 6 years until he sat underneath the Bodhi tree after experiencing it all. And he found nirvana when he surrendered and gave up the search. So I want you to think of a situation in your life where you may be experiencing uncertainty, or you may be scared, or you may be lost. Let's just take a moment to call one of those. It could be small, could be big. A situation where you have uncertainty, or you may feel lost or scared. And I want you to say this affirmation with me. So I'll say it first, and then you say, I surrender to the alchemy of the dark night of the soul. I give my consent to its transforming touch. I am patient in the midst of my discomfort. I am open, receptive, and resist not. Even now, I sense the soul activity taking place within me. And I am grateful for it. So finally, I will say, this is a way to tap into your spiritual guidance system. It won't fail you. So when you're in doubt, ask for help and it will be given to you. Surrender to the highest form of surrender, which is trust. trusting in a God that is always saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, always by our side, never leaving us. And in that God, I have my faith and I build my life around it. And so it is. Amen.
Pray for me when my heart is sinking fast and holding on to what I thought would last. Oh, let me up when I can't let go. I'm wrapped in love when you pray for me. Pray for me when things turn upside down and all seems lost, with no life to be found. I will be a greater peace I will find as you pray for me. Oh, pray for me, and I will make it through. And from this place, I can see what is true. There is a blessing in every breath, and a love that's real beyond the veil of death. Pray for me, oh, pray for me. I'll pray for you, and you pray for me.
So let's relax into this meditative space. And as Thich Nhat Hanh would say, let's just simply enjoy the act of breathing. Knowing that there's nothing to do. But be present in this moment. Let's listen deeply. To the one note, the one vibration. The primordial note that was there before all things began. The note that is symbolized by the iteration of Aum. This one note persists behind all things and sustains all things. This is the energetic vibration of everything, the one presence and the one power. This vibration is the light of Christ consciousness. It's the vortex. It's the God within you. Let's feel this vibration move down from our head to our shoulders, down our back, through our legs into the ground, and along with it we feel the healing light as a part of this vibration. The dance of the cosmos, the dance of all things. This light not only permeates all of our cells, but it heals all things, all people. It connects us to the One, and it connects us to each other. So let's breathe into this energetic vibration, focusing now on our heart space. Seeing the heart space as a bridge between all of the chakras. Our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual body, the body of our affairs, the body of our finances, the body of our activity and our dreams, all connected. Now through that heart space, let's imagine us connecting with each other. One heart to the next heart, and on and on. And we're healing each other. Through this conscious evolution. This cosmic vibration becoming the cosmic dance. Where everything is moving to a higher level of compassion and joy and harmony. We see this energetic vibration wrapping itself around the world. All beings in peace. All beings connected. All beings one. And now resting in the silence. And as we continue to breathe from the heart space, with this feeling of unity, let's just bring ourselves gently back into this space. Blessing everything in this now moment. Blessing everything in this global community. And so it is.